Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. Welcome to AAI. Welcome to the very special Halloween presentation. I promise tonight will be family friendly. It will not be scary, but you will learn a lot. Okay? Let's see. Yes. You're going to learn why creatures of the night, like vampires and the Walking Dead, and Yeti, and banshees, and minotaurs, and demons, and all kinds of stuff like that, why these creatures would make wonderful, high-quality, nighttime astronomers. The terror topics for tonight. Why they would make good nighttime astronomers. What scary nebula they would view, their favorite exoplanets, what kind of eyes they would have for seeing in the dark, how you can become the best nighttime astronomer, and how to plan for your special Halloween star party. All these creatures that go bump in the night, it's a shame that they have bad reputations, because they would make very, very good nighttime astronomers. They're used to plotting and planning in the dark. They work through cold and hot and damp weather, just like astronomers. The snooping public would avoid them, so they would have plenty of time by themselves to view the sky. They have eyes built for seeing in low light levels. They use the best management of time at night, but they would not really be good for solar astronomers. No, they are not daytime people. They would be nighttime people. Werewolves despise full moons because poor humans who are bitten by werewolves turn into werewolves under the bright light of a full moon. Well, nocturnal astronomers don't like full moons either. If you put your telescope on the full moon, it's like putting a bright light in your eyes, like shining a flashlight in your eyes. It's too bright. It's too bright. A lot of people think that the full moon is the best time to view through a telescope. It is not. That's why you need a quarter moon or a half moon, a crescent moon. With a little bit of light coming through your telescope from the moon, that is the best time to view the moon. Intense moonlight overwhelms the telescope and overwhelms the optics. And also when you have a full moon in the sky, it's so bright, it overwhelms the light from the planets and the stars. It's like being in a city. The only thing you can see through your telescope in the city is maybe the moon, if you're lucky, because there's so much light pollution in the city. So try not to point your telescope at the full moon. Use it when the moon is in the crescent phase. That's much better. Now, if you should encounter a vampire, this is how you get rid of them. You explain to him there is no such thing as moonlight. The moon does not create its own light. It has no light source. When you see the moon, a full moon, a crescent moon, a half moon, you're seeing it because the light of the sun is reflecting off the surface of the moon, just like the light reflects off the surface of the earth. So when you see the moon, you're just looking at reflected sunlight. And vampires don't like sunlight. So all you have to do is explain that to the vampire will disappear, and you will have saved the world. Tonight's presentation is not scary, but there are some things in the universe that are. For example, some nebula. This is the Witch Head Nebula. It's illuminated by the giant blue star Rigel, and it's in the constellation Orion. Then you have a little ghost nebula. It's illuminated by a dying spirit of a white dwarf star, which used to be a star that ended its life in a nuclear fission. Oops. Whoops. Let's see. There you go. Tarantula. They're pretty scary. A real tarantula's brood can contain over 1,000 eggs. Well, this one contains hundreds of thousands of young stars that are just starting to come online. Then we have the Bat Nebula. There's no fucus, and this is a cloud that's dense enough to block light from other stars. And it's shaped like a bat. Black Widow. It's from a group of stars at a center producing intense radiation. And intense radiation comes out in all directions. Phantom Street Nebula, I bet you never heard of this one, is in Aquila. And its central star, which is a white dwarf, has released its former atmosphere into space, where it glows under UV light. Oh, I like this one. This one is the cosmic monster. It was found by the James Webb Telescope, and it's a dusty galaxy, giving birth to hundreds of stars every year. And you have the Perseus cluster X-ray scope. 50 million degrees of cloud of intercluster gas. I gotta explain this. This is great. Al Gould, the winking star. This star winks at all the humans. Our big astronomers named this star Al Gould, which means head of the ogre or head of the demon. In fact, today we still use that name, Al Gould, for this thing. Our ancient Hebrew name for it was Satan's head. Chinese astronomers called it mausoleum because it winks. Whatever this thing is, it gets brighter and dimmer and brighter and dimmer. And it appears to wink at all the tiny little humans on Earth, and they couldn't figure it out. But over the eons, we have figured it out. It's just a binary star system where the dimmer star goes in front and then behind its brighter companion. Takes about 10 hours to do so. It looks like they're winking because you see them together, and then the dimmer one goes behind the other. And this is Percy A and Percy B, and this was a time-lapse photography showing how they eclipse each other. So if you don't realize that it's two different stars, come on in. If you don't realize that there are two different stars orbiting around each other, you can't figure out why the stars are getting brighter and dimmer, and it looks like it's winking at you. And this winking star forms the eye of Medusa's head in the constellation Perseus. And now, like I said, there are a lot of scary things in the universe, including some scary exo-planets. This is a roasted world. It gets so close to its companion star And it moves so fast around its companion star. It has howling supersonic winds and shockwave storms that go around the planet. It takes 20 hours to go around the star. And it gets very close to its star. And it receives over 1,000 times the energy of the sun. And as it's getting close to its star, it heats up to roughly 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And then when it swings away, it gets cooler. And it gets so cold that the Spitzer Space Telescope can't see it for the rest of its orbit. This one. Now the howling winds send glass sideways, blowing around the planet. The glass is actually silicate particles, which is part of the atmosphere of this planet. And the cobalt blue comes from a hazy blowtorch atmosphere. Welcome to a planet of eternal night. It's a great place for basalt mining demons. It's the darkest exoplanet ever discovered, orbiting a star. And it has an atmosphere as hot as lava. These are all real, folks. These are not stories. These are real places. And then you have these. These are planets that were formed around stars, and they went so fast, or other planets around them interrupted their orbits, and they got thrown out like a slingshot away from their parent star. And these are real planets that now orbit nothing. They move around in space without a star. And they are totally dark and totally black and totally cold. I don't think there's any life on that planet, because as life as we know it would need sunlight, and there is no sunlight. These planets just wander and float around in space by themselves. They drift in space with no stars. They could have formed around a planet, and then, they could have formed around a star, and then were ejected from because of their gravitational swings, or they could form in a low mass by a low mass star or a brown dwarf. And then there wasn't enough gravity for the star to keep it, so it wandered away. It would be a good place for night-dwelling creatures, though, because it never gets sunlight. These planets just wander around in the dark. We found a dozen of these, and they're so dim, and they only emit infrared light, so we can only use the James Webb Telescope to see them. Okay, now, yes, okay. Now for the optical part of the show. Night dwellers that see in the dark have a tapetum lucidum. The word for tonight is tapetum. It's also where we get the word tapestry. It's like a blanket or a layer or a covering behind the retina that bounces back light into the retina. And a lot of animals have it. You see it in owls, you see it in cats. Even if you take a picture of your dog and your dog's eyes are red, that's what you're seeing. The light reflected off his tapetum. Of course, humans have rods and cones. I shouldn't say that. All optical animals have rods and cones. But the nocturnal animals have more rods than cones. Rods are light receptors that help animals see in low light and detect motion and shades of gray in the dark. Cones detect color. Rods are more sensitive to light than cones. That's why rods are the reason that night critters can see so well in the dark. a good astronomer will go up in the dome, or set his telescope up outside, and wait about 30 minutes to become fully dark adapted from being in the house or being in a well-lit area. You have to let your eyes get used to being in the dark. That way you can see more things, even with the naked eye, even without a telescope. Now, how to become a nocturnal astronomer, especially on Halloween night. Like a night like tonight, dress in warm clothes, have a black hoodie and black gloves and a black face mask. View in a dark sky area, away from civilization, away from the lights of the city. Maybe you could wear 2 headbands so that it looks like you have 2 red glowing eyes. And if any curious visitors come along, you snarl at them and you scare them away. You'll have people say, "Oh, what are you looking at?" Tell them you're looking for ghosts and little green men and all the creatures that come in the skies on Halloween night. Maybe you could stand close to your scope if you're using a tripod, and people will get scared. They'll think you have multiple legs and you're some sort of creature. You should also plan your viewing program before sunrise, because the sun will kill your viewing program. And above all, do some serious astronomy. Make use of the dark, clear skies. Nighttime astronomers are not scared of the dark, but it's always good to do a star party with a group of people, because it's Halloween and you never know. Before I close, I'd like to thank Al and Mary and a couple of websites I found along the way. And even if it's not Halloween, it's okay to go to a star party. It's okay to set up your telescope or come to Sterry and look through our telescopes, because we love the stars too dearly to be fearful of the night. And that's it, folks. Thank you very much.